Maybe this will get you. We need to grasp that death and sin don't win. Snap your fingers when you can. Death and sin don't win. You need to grasp that. Because some of y'all act like death is the worst thing in the world. Y'all scared to death of death. I would be too if I wasn't on the winning team. The guy who beat death, and shook it off like it was nothing. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 8, look at what it says. Why did little baby Jesus come? You want an answer? Here it goes. Open book test. Y'all tell me, why did he come? The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work. That's why he came. You can say he came for all kinds of stuff. That's why he came. Destroy the devil's work, to slay the dragon. In Revelation 1:18, what does Jesus say? I'm the living one. I was dead. Now look. I love it, bro. Now look, I'm alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. In Revelation 12:11, the long passage, this is right there in the middle of the long passage we read earlier at the beginning of the sermon. It says, and they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb and by their testimony, and they did not, pay attention, they did not love their lives so much that they were afraid to die. Whoa, these dudes were fearless, full of joy and fearless. Not even death scared them. In fact, look at the next verse, the Hebrew writer. Now, if you know anything about the letter to the Hebrews, this is written to Hebrew Christians, those that came out of Judaism and became disciples of Jesus against the wishes of the entire Jewish community, okay? That was a big deal. That meant they were rebels, and that meant they were kicked out of synagogues. They were sometimes lost their jobs over it, lost family members over it, and sometimes they lost their lives over it. And so when you read Hebrews, if you read it, not understanding that this is written to some scared Christians, you will miss the meaning of Hebrews because it's written to persecuted Christians. And it says this, because God's children are human beings made of flesh and blood, the Son also became flesh and blood. Y'all hear that? It does. Now, people say, like the Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff. I mean, I don't call out groups very often, but those dudes I do. All right, so, I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, they will say Jesus wasn't God. Excuse me? Then why did he become flesh? Why did he become a man? What do you mean became? He was born a man, not he became one. It doesn't make any sense. The Son also became flesh and blood because he wasn't before, you see. For only as a human being could he die, and only by dying could he break the power of the devil, who had the power of death. Satan used to have the power of death. He doesn't anymore. Only in this way, the Hebrew writer says, could he set free all who have lived their lives as slaves to the fear of dying. Why did Jesus die and then resurrect from the dead? So that you could go, because look, everybody in here, I don't know if this is a news flash to y'all, everybody in here is headed to die. Like, right? Ain't none of us getting out of that one. You got clowns trying to cryogenically freeze themselves. You can pay about 200, 300 grand and freeze yourself. Y'all know that? That's a real thing. It's a real thing. In hopes that they'll figure out how to resuscitate you later and dethaw you and all that stuff. You can try to fix death a lot of ways. Ain't nobody figured it out. Nobody's going to figure it out. You know why? Because Jesus has the keys to death. Nobody else has them. You can eat the healthy diets and all, and that's probably good. You need to take care of the temple of God, right? Now, the temple is not just you individually, but it's talking about the church. But anyway, you do need to protect and take care and be responsible. If I'm just up here and my body is out of control, then that probably is an indicator that I got other things in my life out of control. So I'm not downplaying being fit and stuff, okay? But let's not overplay it either. Like we're going to live forever because I got a new diet. You're not. You want to fix death? Find the guy with the keys. And he says, then you don't have to be a slave to being afraid of dying. Fill in this blank. Jesus entered a virgin's womb so he could exit a tomb. Yeah. Act by these Japanese beetles up here. Evidence of the dragon. Anyway, Jesus entered a virgin's womb so he could exit a tomb. That's why he came. He came here to die, be buried, so he could come out 3 days later and go, nobody else did that. You know what that means? You should follow me and stop listening to all the other clowns. Buddha's still dead. Muhammad's still dead. Jesus is alive. Y'all follow? And look, I know that sounds really good, right? Preacher told me I should just believe it. No, you shouldn't. You should look into that thing. I encourage you, go do your research. Did he really raise from the dead? There's evidence. In fact, it's insurmountable. It would take more faith for me to be an atheist and to think that he didn't raise from the dead than to believe that he did, because the evidence is so overwhelming. If you would like me to help you with that evidence, let me know. I'd love to show it to you. It takes me about 35 minutes, right, Nate? About an hour. Okay. So anyway, that was the preacher story.